Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Mike Rajo. I'm the Executive Director of Rhode Island Jobs with Justice. We are here in support of the minimum wage bills and in opposition of the, trying to remember the sponsor's name, the Reduce the Child Labor Bill as it was submitted. There's a few points I'd like to make. I'll try to keep this pretty brief, but I will point out that business representatives did speak for more than 45 minutes, each one averaging 12 minutes when they spoke, and that reducing our testimony to 1 minute is actually severely limiting the ability of workers to speak to this issue.
It's the reality of the fact that
I understand the realities. I'll be quick. The minimum wage means many more things than just a minimum wage. When it was originally conceived, it was conceived as a living wage for a living wage, not a training wage, not a substitute for a wage. And FDR was quite clear when he pointed out that if you cannot pay a living wage, you have no right to do business. It's not an either or, it's an if and. It's not a choice that gets made by a person to say, I own a business and I have to keep a roof over my head. Your employee too has to keep a roof over her head, has children to raise, has people to care for and children to send to school. If you choose to do that at a substandard rate, then you're going to get results that are less than pleasant and less than good. 76% of minimum wage workers are over the age of 30. This is not children that are doing this job. And I note the irony when we talk about the caregivers with the coffee server versus the caretaker, whereas the caretaker very likely is the person serving the coffee because the wages are so low in that industry. But in order to make sure that we get the most qualified people to do the most productive jobs that are available, we have to value their work in a real way, which is why we support Bennett's bill to raise it to $10.50 in July 1, but also support the more visionary bill to $15 an hour. It costs nearly $12,000 a year to send a child to daycare. Rents in Rhode Island are $15,000 a year. If you have a stingy diet and you're really skimp on your grocery bill, that's $7,000 a year. If you have to drive, if you have to live, that leaves no room for life. We don't have an economy that's dictated from the top down. We live in a consumer economy. To remove money, which is what these bills undo, to restore the balance that needs to happen between employer and employee and give people strength again in order to control their own lives is vital. Rhode Island Jobs with Justice believes very firmly that collective bargaining is the path to improved wages. However, the workforce that is denied access to collective bargaining through intimidation and through employer tactics are the ones that most desperately need your help and you need to recognize their value. I urge the state, and I urge this committee to urge passage of this bill, these two bills. I salute the vision that's offered there. And now on a personal note, as a member of IATSE, who is somebody who has had more than 62 individual employers and 62 individual W-2s, I do understand the complicated nature of earned sick leave. I understand its value as a larger issue for the working people of Rhode Island. There is a reconciliation for multi-employer CBA having businesses, and I know it exists. And I know that the sponsor understands that, and I know that in the future this is something that will pass. It's inevitable. We have gone through a regime for the past 5 years where we've seen an increase of minimum wage. It's true. We've seen the cost of business go up. Yet we've seen restaurant business become the #1 fastest growing business with those increases. You can't have both. You can't say that my wage increase kills your business and yet show me numbers of the 3 businesses you opened, 1 in Massachusetts and 2 in Rhode Island. Don't talk to me of your 160 employees when you know for a fact in your #1 growing business that they're the reason that your business does well. Nobody comes to a restaurant to see the owner. Nobody goes for the care that's delivered by the manager of a care facility. You go because you get cared for. You go because the worker is caring for your parent, serving your food. You go for them. Center them in your thoughts when you think about what the value of our wages actually are, and think of how we value people. We have never valued caretaking positions ever in this country. We have never placed women's work at the center and put it at the top of our list. Right now, we are focusing on that work, And I'm glad that this conversation is happening. I'm so happy that right now, we are thinking about the men and women, but mostly women, who do the caretaking, the serving, the feeding, and the loving that we need in order to survive as a society. Show that we value them. Show that we value our neighbors by increasing the wages for all Rhode Islanders, starting from the fringes and working to the center. Start from the poorest and raise them up. Get to the $15 an hour as fast as you can. But if you can't get there, get to the $10.50 now. And thank you for your time.